Baby's about to cut his first plank.
My name's Nicholas, and I live aboard a 103-year-old historic wooden boat, Argonaut II, and I'm on a mission to build community around this boat to help out with an ongoing restoration and preservation of its history. In today's video, we're going to be going over putting planks onto the port side of Argonaut II. We'll go over what type of wood we'll be using, how to create and template a plank, and then go over the exciting process of steam bending and fastening a plank into the boat. But first, let's talk about what kind of wood we're using for planking material. Most of what we have are 3-foot wide boules of Sipo Mahogeny that are imported from Africa via Germany, where they're milled and dried. What we look for are pieces of material with vertical grain that runs all the way through, because what we're trying to avoid is any kind of grain that's coming up out of the plank at a sharp angle. Most of what's here are half boules with a live edge of sapwood, because you try to avoid the center of the tree where the grain can get a little funky and go many different directions. Most of the stock that we're using is 31 or 35 feet in length, and in one case we have a boule that is 5 feet wide, where it was sliced just outside of the center of the tree, avoiding that funkiness, and has clean vertical grain running throughout. Most of the wood from this project was purchased up the road at a company named Edensaw, and I plan to do a separate video going over how we source the wood from all over the world. It's 6 a.m. and today we're going to start laying planks back onto the boat. For the crew this morning, I am making a slow roast carnitas, and then I'm going to go turn the steam box on to get it heated up before the crew arrives. It's been very cold these last few days, and now that there is a giant hole stretching the length of the boat, the interior of the boat is basically ambient temperature to the outside. And so actually the last few days I've been sleeping in the chart room, the little electric heater. The first plank laid was up in the bow section, which not only follows the curve of the hull, but twists along the strake. And to bend the shape of wood in this way, we cooked the plank in a steam box for a couple hours, or about 1 hour per inch of thickness. The softened wood is easier to work with and can be pulled alongside the frames. Steam bending a plank can be a lot of fun, and there's a little bit of a time urgency in working with the wood while it's still warm. Each plank takes about 20 minutes to an hour to put in. Here's a look at one from start to finish.
One more. Yeah, that's good.
Clamps and clothespins are used to help press the plank into its place, and occasionally we'll use a forklift when the plank is a especially tight fit.
Start working it in. Yep, keep coming. Go up a little, Al. Yep. Up a little bit. Keep coming in.
Temporary lag screws pull the plank into the frames and will be replaced when we fasten the plank once the wood has cooled down.
Alright, up. Up. In. Up. Hold.
Hi, Pete.
Well, there's a lot of new planking going on up top, which is kind of glamorous. The new, like new to new to new, like new plank on top of new plank. It's nice because it's all new wood, so you get a nice freshly cut, you know, edge that you're gonna put your next plank up against, and clean corking bevels that we put on. But I'm down here on the bottom, one of the ones we took off to get access to drive the new frames in. So this is a shutter plank. That means it's captured on both sides by other planks. It's not a whiskey plank, that's the last one to go on. These are just shutters. What I've done so far is I cleaned up the edge of these two old planks. The edges of these planks were just a little beat up from corking and recorking over the 104 years that the boat's been around. It's probably been recorked 4 times, maybe once every 20 to 30 years. From that process, the edge of the planks get beat up because you go in with a reef and hook and you pull out old corking, caulking, cotton and oakum, get pulled out, that roughs up the edge of the plank, and then it gets driven in again and made down hard. So it'll usually kind of depress the edges of these planks. It'll kind of make a little indent. I took a little rabbit plane, went along and cleaned up that edge to make sure this face here going in and out wasn't all bumpy. What I'm able to get then a pretty flat surface. You can see there that straight edge sits on that surface. After all those years, the seams do open up a little bit. The boat going in and out of the water for all of its annual or biannual haul outs, if they've been happening, the boat comes out, it dries out, and then it goes back in and swells back up. So that wood has constant movement.
I see you put some new ballast in the boat.
Yeah, I added a rock. There's a bunch of lead ingots in the bilge here. I need to make a pattern with door skin. It's got to go right through that. So I added, you know, maybe 20 grams of ballast here that is just gonna go right there. Before I even put my pattern stock in there, I'm gonna go along and take the bevel. This isn't my favorite one. I actually loaned my favorite one to Nick on Nick on Torito Nick.
He'll be here Thursday.
Got this, I know, he better bring my little bevel gauge. I put the bevel gauge against the frame, and then I can adjust this, and I put that flat against the plank seam. So I have all these readouts, and there we are. That's about a 6-degree angle. So that tells me when I cut my plank out from the back, I need my saw blade angling outward at that many degrees. Always with a shutter, you have to have this as a losing fit so that the hole is getting smaller the further inboard it is. Sometimes you wing it. A lot of times you actually somewhat disregard the bevels you're taking, because you also are gonna purposefully put a corking bevel on. Nicholas will probably draw a diagram of this where the seam's tight in the back but then opens up in the front to have cotton and oakum hammered into it.
What Pete is talking about is a bevel that is cut into the side of the plank that does not go all the way to the back, that accepts cotton and oakum, caulking material, or corking material as they say in the Northwest. The inboard half of the plank is flush with the plank above it, and cotton can be driven tightly between the seam, followed by oakum, which sits in the corking bevel, packed tightly to waterproof the hull.
See that? It's close enough to 6. I'm calling it 6. We don't do half degrees or whatever.
Typical angle of a corking bevel.
I don't know. I have no idea. I wing it every time.
They're using 6 degrees here, I think.
They're actually, because they're routing theirs. They got the special, they made the, I'm doing mine, because I'm only here for a few days. I'm not over-engineering tools to make my job go too fast, you know? I need to get some billable hours. The tells of a good champagne, like the bubbles are supposed to go directly up or something, like if they, I don't know, but there's a quote in there from someone that's like, a bottle of champagne should not explode open, it should cough apologetically. And I always think hammering in a shutter plank should be like, and it should, that's what goes through my head when I think of, like, a good shutter plank should just cough apologetically. And then sometimes it slides right in and you have little light gaps in there and you like, don't give a because you're working on a rotten 104-year-old boat. We're filming here, but we're just, you know.
What do you have to say, Miles?
I charged Nicholas double for this. You get double pay for being on camera. Did you know that, Miles?
Because you work half as fast.
Because the job takes twice as long. Or 4 times as long. Oh, shit. Okay, that was, I dropped it. It's 4 degrees.
Okay.
That's the front. It's a funny angle. Yeah.
Once the plank cools down and is held in by lag screws, we pre-drill fastening holes with a countersink, following a consistent pattern across the entire boat, placing fasteners in opposite corners where the plank overlaps the frame. If any future service is needed on the plank, or the plank is refastened, we will follow the opposite pattern. We will be driving into clean wood, and that way we know where the frame lies behind the plank, so we don't need to draw a new line to follow our fastening pattern. The fasteners are dipped in pine tar, which helps lubricate the screw as it is driven into the plank, as well as fill up any tiny gaps to further prevent water intrusion into the wood. If you remember from episode 29, we left a few of the rotten planks at the turn of the bilge that help the frames take their shape as we guide them through the frame bays and through the turn into the bilge.
Okay.
Breaker bar? Boss
No.
bar?
Beatrice. Bernice.
Miles. Burke bar.
Burke bar. I think I just have to look at it sternly and it'll fall off. Just a gentle
All right.
suggestion.
Here we go, Pete.
Very little effort.
Here it comes. Okay, drop it.
Like a banana.
After removing each plank, the edge is marked with a pencil onto the new frame to help us template the new planks back onto the boat. After making the template, Pete took us over to the planking stock where he shared with us a little bit of boat building philosophy.
The sap, because that rots faster than the heartwood. It's also the only living part of the tree.
Right.
Is the cambium layer, the sapwood. That's where all the living part is happening. Like, if the tree's 500 years old, is it really 500 years old? Because it's dead on the inside, you know? Kind of like me. We talk about that in boat building a lot. The ship of Theseus.
Yeah.
Like everything, or George Washington's hatchet. Is it the same boat? Is it the same, you know? A river is running. Is it the same river all the time? Whoa! This is when you think about when you're corking. When you're corking for a week, you have like this, it's like you're in a sensory deprivation chamber. You're just, remember that one kid that lived down the street from me growing up? I wonder what he's doing. Now the thing I need to remember too, this is like the nuances of planking, like the little subtle things. We're talking about pencil lines here. So if I was to take my pencil and draw that on the outside of these tabs, I have put the width of a pencil line out from where my actual line is. And so if I was to do that all the way down, remove this pattern, put a batten on the inside, then I would have added a pencil width on both sides of my plank, which is like 1/8 of an inch, 2/16 or something, 2/16. But what I'm doing here is I'm bumping my batten against the tabs, and I'm gonna draw a pencil line right here. And you can see right there that my pencil line, the outside of my pencil line is the outside of this tab. See? It's different. There's this pencil line and that pencil line. And so after I cut it out and plane it down, I still want to see the graphite of my pencil. We're splitting hairs here too. It's not like, it's gonna go in the hole somehow.
A charter guest from this past summer stopped by with a homemade loaf of bread, and so for lunch, I shared it with the crew by making tuna melts.
Like a little lunch food. Well, I'm not doing,
After lunch, Miles was cutting out a plank up in the forward section of the boat, which had a number of bevels that changed quite dramatically as the plank curved inward and upward at the stem. As Miles cuts the edge of the plank, he accounts for the dynamic angle of the bevel by making small adjustments to the angle of the saw, marked at each frame and transcribed from the template. Al and his team modified the saw with an adjustable knob to control the angle of the blade, with hatch marks cut into aluminum so that adjustments can be made on the fly.
My only secret blend of herbs and spices. I'm applying boat sauce to the edge of these planks because this is a shutter plank, like we've said 100 times over. Oiling the seams so that the plank slides in there a little easier. I think linseed oil, turpentine, and pine tar. Okay. Go into the boat a little bit. Can you reach that mallet right there? Another one. Another one. Go ahead and push the plank in towards the boat some. Whoa, holy. Forgot I don't like that thing. I tried to sit on it the other day. Morgan.
Yeah. Lift.
Lift. We're gonna lift one more time. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Pretty much anything you're gonna do the opposite, and it should probably be the right thing when working with Pete. Really, you can relax if you need to.
Pete says I can relax.
Yeah, honestly, I thought maybe we'd be able to pound it in, but we're gonna have to press. We're gonna have to jack it up a little. Can you hand me that little widget, that T1 right there?
T widget.
T widget. I want to go right here with it. Where I wrote push, that's where I want to push it. Okay. That's all I had to do? Wow. I think we should pause right there and widget the hammer up here. Look at the blood on the block.
If you'd like to help out with this project, I am putting a little fundraiser on to sponsor a plank, and I am going all in with what I have on this, and so anything extra will go towards additional projects that I'd still like to take on before we put the boat back in the water. All the money's going straight to materials and the shipwrights that are helping support the project. I have some interesting plans on sharing this boat with as many people as I can in the Pacific Northwest this summer.
Baby's about to cut his first plank.
It's not like somebody's gonna be standing at the table.
Yeah, there's a little dip right here. So my saw went like the top of my arc where the grain direction changes. I'm making a pattern for a plank. It's gonna be a shorty.
Argonaut is 73 feet long, and the planking stock that we purchased is 35 feet long. So technically, we can cover an entire strake from stem to stern with only 2 planks. And in several cases, we do. So why don't we do that all the way down the hull? Well, an important part on planning your planking strategy is to best incorporate the planks to have the most tensile strength across the boat, where you overlap the planks in a way so not to compromise the structural integrity of the boat by putting too many weak points in the same place. Now, a butt joint, where 2 planks come together, is a weak place in the structure. The point on the boat that receives the most structural stress is the center of the boat, because if you think about a boat going over a wave, the stern and the bow are pulling down on the wave, hogging the keel upwards and trying to rip the boat in half. There's a strategy to where you place each plank so that the butt joints are not too close together. And a general rule of thumb is not to have 2 butts within 4 units apart. And so a unit can be down a strake or over 1 frame bay. If we start at the top here, we'll have a butt joint right in the middle. The next plank down, we need to make sure that there's not a butt joint within 4 units of this one. So we can go down 1 plank and over 1, 2, 3 frames. And in this case, I put 4 frames. We can safely put a butt joint here. And on the 5th strake, we're allowed to put a butt joint on the same frame as the top one because we are 1, 2, 3, 4 strakes down. We were able to use leftover planking stock for the short planks that span between the port lights, and then Miles cut them out using a router and a jig. Hey! A lot of you have been asking where was Pete in the last video, and in truth he just went home to visit his family over the holiday break while we drove all those frames in the week of Christmas. I love Pete, and he helped me with my haul out in 2023, but this year he had some pre-committed plans to do a really cool project with some mutual friends of ours, Nick and Kosi, who, if you remember back in episode 18, we went north this week last year up to Cowichan Bay to pick up this really cool boat of theirs that they now charter down in Olympia.
Yeah, I'm huffing denatured alcohol too. Do you know? for the next couple months here, I am working on 2 small schooners, are getting new Sitka spruce poles. So we're doing bird's mouth construction. If you're interested in seeing the construction of these masts, I'm gonna be putting out a video or 2 at some point in the future.
If you want to follow along on what Pete is up to, you should check out his channel, Pearl in a Can, which I have both linked in the description below, and he's tagged in this video, so you can click in and you can check out some of the videos that he puts on, which is a mixture of woodworking, boats, and a new blacksmithing shop that he's putting together.
To me, it conjures, I heard it in the song a long time ago. It's in reference to a beer. Pearl is a beer. But when I heard Pearl in a Can, it conjures up images of like Diamond in the Rough, right? Yeah. Like I imagine pearl in like a rusty oyster can. Like a rusty can you find on the beach with a serrated lid, pop top lid, you know, with like sand and then like a pearl's in there. And you're like, oh, pearl in a can.
The project he's on now is expected to be about 2 months. So depending on how things go, he might roll back into the Argonaut project, and we'll be checking in with him periodically throughout the winter. Thank you all so much for watching. And if you'd like to support Argonaut or these videos, please consider signing up for Patreon. I have different links on how you can help in the description. And I have some really interesting videos coming up on how we are sourcing the wood for this project as we dive even further into rebuilding the port side of Argonaut II. See you all next time.